We all kind of remember this was the understanding about Andre Iguodala's time in Memphis when he got over there, but as we got nearer and nearer to his departure, you started to see this, and this is what happens when you've got a young team. Ja Morant, obviously the leader in charge of what's going on there, but the timing is everything here. My biggest regret is the Heat don't play the Grizzlies for the rest of the season.
They do not, because Dylan Brooks seems like he wants a revenge game. Andre Iguodala at this point is a guy who hasn't played all season, and I think his reputation and name carry more than his actual play. He's a 3-time NBA champion, an NBA Finals MVP. And this player resume, by the way, is brought to you by Indeed, used by over 3 million businesses for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. But I think, Junior, that the more interesting name for the Heat's ceiling this season might actually end up being Danilo Gallinari from the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's a potential 3-team trade that ESPN NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski lays out right here.
Miami and Memphis have agreed on a deal that would send Andre Iguodala to the Heat. I'm told that Iguodala has agreed to a 2-year, $30 million extension, and now they're working on a 3-way deal with Oklahoma City that could ultimately land Miami not only Iguodala, but Oklahoma City forward Danilo Gallinari. And Pat Riley right now is all in on this team and really upgrading this group to suddenly become a significant challenger to Milwaukee in the Eastern Conference if he can get this trade done.
Miami is all in, says Woj.
Yeah, all in, and I heard that soundbite all in when it was still only the Iguodala portion of all this, and I said, kind of like you, does that constitute all in this day and age? A guy who we haven't seen on the court in about 8 months, who has sat out the entire portion of the season right now, who is an older player, and we saw some of those signs of age before he left Golden State. But you're right, the Gallinari edition is a little more, I think, on the court substantial, especially right now. Now, there's only like 28 games after the All-Star break, but a guy who's averaging 19 and 5, a little over 40% from beyond the arc, like that can help on a team that's already surpassed our wildest dreams. Like they're sitting at second in the Eastern Conference, and I feel like no one's noticed because they still look down there and don't see the big three.
Gallinari is a free agent at the end of this season.
Yes.
So technically, the Heat are all in on whatever goes down in the 2019-20 season. But here's my question for you, Junior. Is the NBA up for grabs? I'm looking at the standings, and there are 7 teams in the West that have over 30 wins, over a 60% winning percentage. In the East, there are 6 teams with that same resume, going all the way down to the Philadelphia 76ers at 31-20. The Heat are 4th in the East. What I'm getting at is I feel like there's been this massive separation in the NBA. Yesterday, you and I talked about the middle class of quarterbacks in the NFL and where might they fall, who might get churned. In fact, I want to revisit that a little bit later here on Golic and Wingo because I want to ask you, who solves the Colts quarterback situation? But I feel like the middle class has been lost in the NBA as well. You've got 13 teams over 600, and then you've got a bunch of teams who are bad. And I wonder, is that the Heat going, hey, man, this is up for grabs, anybody can win it? Or is that the Heat deluding themselves that they're an actual NBA title contender this year and need to go all in at the trade deadline?
I think, and this is the biggest cop-out answer of all time, I think it's a little bit of both, right? Like with Pat Riley, you always know that's kind of going to be the mindset. With Jimmy Butler as the leader on your team, delusion is kind of a built-in part of the model, right? Like this guy has always willed himself to maybe be better than even his skill set would otherwise suggest, but this is an Eastern Conference where I think it's been a lot of teams that have disappointed, right? Like you look at all this, and really it's the 76ers. We haven't seen any real Kyrie Irving because of injury for the Nets, and that was a team we always thought was kind of a year away on this. And the Boston Celtics right now have been, I think, trending in a better direction. Certainly they're going to be a young duo that we talk about in the context of some larger conversation later, but I just think right now the Eastern Conference was, here were the expectations. We expected the Bucks, the Celtics, and probably the 76ers to go out there and be the teams right now with the expectation the Nets would join. And when the Heat came to the party, we're still kind of operating under those premises, so the East looks like a disappointment to us.
Well, we expected that the NBA would have more title contenders. I remember talking on the Will Cain show that with the breakup of the Warriors, the super team era was over. Now it was the era of the duos. And I expected it to go 7, 8, 9 deep on potential title contenders. But I'm looking at 13 teams that might be telling themselves, maybe this year? I think they're deluding themselves, Junior. Like, I don't think the Heat have any prayer to win the NBA title. I don't think they have any prayer against the Clippers or the Lakers. I'm not even sure they have a prayer in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Bucks. But they're going all in as though they do. And the smarter team to me might be a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are one of the teams who are above 600. The Thunder are sitting here at 31-20, which isn't that far away from where the Heat are at 34-16. And what are the Thunder doing? They're selling. They're realizing their window isn't now, it's down the road. They're trading away a guy like Danilo Gallinari.
And I look at that, and obviously they know. Listen, yeah, Chris Paul being your ace in the hole at this point in his career is probably not a sustainable model. But I'm sure Miami is maybe saying, and we kind of had this conversation about a team like the Dodgers the other day, who are for a long time doing that same thing, getting rid of bad contracts, trying to amass talent, but managed to win at the same time inexplicably, and so it made that transition a little easier right now. For the Heat, you've done a good job of identifying young talent. Tyler Hero, Kendrick Nunn, who no one saw coming out of all of this. And so you've started to develop some guys that you think maybe can be part of a young core. And Jimmy Butler, I think, can fall into that enough. He can be a guy that can be around and shepherd that crew. So maybe you think you can get the best of both worlds. And while you've got a shot, and I guess this is all the thing is, we can sit here and say, yeah, we don't think they've got any chance against the Bucks or a team from the Western Conference. But we also know that when you get to the playoffs, it's a completely different animal by that point. The war of attrition starts to take hold. You don't know who's going to be injured in that. So you've just got to put yourself within enough distance to do damage. If you're a grenade that's going to go off when you get to the playoffs, you've just got to be within enough distance to potentially do damage in this spot. And then I think, especially because I don't know if we're talking about them giving up an overwhelming haul to get there.
Yeah, I just can't figure out if these are real good teams. I wonder, are these average teams with good records because the bottom, or rather the middle, has fallen out of the NBA? They're feasting on bad teams and telling themselves they're title contenders. We said 7, 8, 9 potential contenders. Truthfully, it was probably 4 or 5, and 13 might be acting like they're truly contenders this year.
But hasn't that always been the case?
What's up? Thank you so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. Don't forget to download the ESPN app, and if you want more premium content, which you do, make sure that you subscribe to ESPN+. See you soon.